Young America's Foundation, bringing the leaders of the conservative movement to you, fighting liberal intolerance on college campuses, and spreading conservative ideas to thousands of young people each year. For more information, please go to www.yaf.org.
Thank you. I just want to say that's the best introduction I've ever had. And that was the best warning to the audience I've ever had. So if you guys could just come with me to all my speeches. I thought on the 33rd anniversary of Roe v. Wade, and in light of the raw terror in the New York Times over the prospect of Judge Alito becoming Justice Alito, I'd talk about the courts and the importance of the courts to the Democratic Party, which is that the Democratic Party is becoming more and more insane. This is not your father's Democratic Party anymore, and so they have, the option of either lying and pretending to believe things they don't believe, or just getting everything they want handed to them on a silver platter by the court, discovering, a constitutional right to gay marriage. Gosh, no one ever noticed that for 200 years. Among the pillars of the Democratic Party now are not allowing people to pray in public, stripping 10 commandments from any public place, and by the way, on those two, I was thinking that we ought to have, like a disclaimer sign at Ellis Island when new immigrants come saying, welcome to America. You'll no longer be making 69 cents a day. You won't be sleeping in a cave, but you may see Christians praying. Now, if that's okay, and no running off to the ACLU when you see a Christian praying in public. Okay, banning prayer, taking down the 10 Commandments, gay marriage, and the single most important sacrament to the Democratic Party is abortion, as we're seeing now with the fight over Alito. The abortion hearings, which incidentally mentioned the Supreme Court. First, on the Democratic Party, they've got to find someone in that party to say, let's just scrap this. We're going to start over. We'll go back to the party we were 50 years ago, and we're going to be very careful who we let into the room this time. No, Chuck Schumer. Nancy Pelosi, I'm sorry, I don't see your name on the list here. Somehow I don't think Howard Dean is going to be that guy. Bill and Hillary Clinton are having closed-door meetings as we speak. Their first order of business will be how to make Howard Dean's death look like an accident. But to the contrary, instead of moving the insane people slowly out of the room, the Democrats seem to have coalesced around the idea that their ideas are fine, change nothing with the ideas, we just need more help getting our message out. So let's get new labels for these bottles. Let's see, somewhere between 10 and 20% of Americans support gay marriage. I know, let's make that our main issue. Bingo, that is correct. I wonder why those I heart partial birth abortion T-shirts aren't selling. Yeah, the problem was probably just that the Democrats weren't getting their message out. If only the Democrats had access to some part of the mainstream media. Just a crevice, just a toehold to hang on to for dear life. Most fun is watching the Democrats try to fake a belief in God and moral values. Gay marriage, that's a family value. Abortions for 14-year-old girls without their parents' consent, that can be a moral value too. Democrats complain about the Republican base being nuts. Their nuts are leading the party. Apparently no one in the Democratic Party is asking the tough questions. Was it a good idea or a bad idea to foist gay marriage on the nation by judicial fiat? Was it a good idea or a bad idea to campaign with rich, out-of-touch Hollywood elites? Was it a good idea or a bad idea to have Michael Moore sit with Jimmy Carter at the Democratic National Convention? Was it a good idea or a bad idea for our candidate to vote against funding the troops when they're in the field being shot at? Was it a good idea or a bad idea to support sticking a fork in a baby's head right up until the moment of birth? It would have been so easy for the Democrats to say, okay, forget everything you've heard about us recently. We're going back to the party we were 50 years ago. No more crazy stuff. But they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. The crazy stuff are the most important things, and I don't even think they care about the war in Iraq. They wouldn't care as long as they can save abortion on demand. Abortion is now the most important issue for the Democratic Party. What can you say about such a party? The nation embarked on its abortion holocaust in 1973 when the Supreme Court surprised the nation by noticing that there was a right to abortion in a 200-year-old document that does not any place vaguely allude to abortion. Although the Constitution doesn't refer to abortion, the born or the unborn, the Declaration of Independence does contain a reference to a God-given, inalienable right to life, which rings a bell for some of us. Liberals collectively chuckled as conservatives said, this is the beginning. This is the top of a slippery slope that is going to lead to infanticide, abortion on demand, the slippery slope to euthanasia. And fast forward to today's news, where we read about women with 6-month-old babies, unborn babies, viable by any definition, being aborted because they have a cleft palate. Everyone knew the decision in Roe v. Wade was a joke. Even Harvard law professor Larry Tribe says it's wrong, so it's really wrong. During the oral argument before the Supreme Court in Roe, the people assembled in the audience laughed when the attorney arguing for a right to abortion in the Constitution started ticking off all the various amendments where she thought you could locate a right to abortion: the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, 14th Amendment, the emanations. Actually, she didn't come with emanations. That took Harry Blackmun. The audience laughed when they heard this, and that is now the law of the land. And the decision in Roe hinged on the convenient notion of privacy, which does not protect my right to manufacture methamphetamine, saw-off shotguns, or euthanize grandma, privately or otherwise. Merely to state the logic of the opinion is to expose its inanity. Justice Harry Blackmun did, as recommended by the attorney who was laughed at when she said it in open court, locate a right to privacy in the First, Fourth, Fifth, Ninth Amendments, while admitting there was no right to privacy. There were emanations from penumbras surrounding those rights. Any right that's that hard to pin down is a fraud. Still, from the concept of liberty and vaguely enunciated penumbras and emanations, liberals got everything they want: a right to abortion without the mess and bother of having to persuade people to vote for a right for abortion. Never has the phrase judge, jury, and executioner been so apt as the decision in Roe v. Wade. The nation was shocked by the decision in Roe and responded by going back and rewriting all of their state laws to comply with Roe v. Wade. Even when dealing with lawless tyrants, conservatives, Americans, have a fetish about following the law. And the court said there's a right to abortion, so everybody just went back and wrote their new laws allowing abortion. It overruled, Roe v. Wade overruled all 50 states in the Union, laws in all 50 states. Back in the 60s when, the weathermen were blowing up buildings, 60s radicals, the expression on the left was, if you weren't going to blow up, the physics building, the expression was, I'm going to work within the system. I'm going to work within the system to change it. Well, that is what conservatives, that's what pro-lifers did. We worked within the system. Roe v. Wade came out in 1973, and for the next 20 years, no abortion doctor was killed, no violence occurred at abortion clinics. Instead, pro-lifers just worked to elect Republican presidents, bided their time, hoped that Supreme Court justices would retire and we'd be able to get our justices on, not so that we could win. We're not like liberals. We don't sit around waiting for the Supreme Court to give us what we want. We just want to be able to vote.